welcome to episode 7 of Just Hit Play. I'm your host, Peter, and with me is Nick. Nick, how are you doing?
I'm doing well. It's been a bit of a heat wave over here in Canada, so it feels like I'm in Australia for once, which is nice, but it's sweltering over here.
Yeah, I heard in Calgary it was like 41 degrees or something. What's the temperature there?
It's been in the 30s with humidity about all week, I'd say, and rain on and off. But yeah, it's crazy. I think I read that some town in British Columbia broke the heat record in Canada 3 days in a row.
Wasn't it in the 40s?
Yeah, 43 or 4, something along those lines, I believe.
So it's like a heat pocket apparently is over North America at the moment.
Yeah, I heard it referred to as a heat dome.
That's what it was. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Mm-hmm. What about you? How are you doing down in Brisbane, Queensland?
So we're in a 3-day lockdown that started 2 days ago at 6 p.m. I believe there are 3 or 4 cases, COVID cases that have come through, and so we're in a 3-day snap lockdown. It ends Friday here.
Okay.
And then they'll take a look at it and see if we're going to stay in further lockdown or if it'll be lifted with restrictions.
Well, hopefully all that clears up for you.
Yeah, I had a couple jobs this weekend. I was supposed to photograph a birthday party, and I was going to do a job with Darren on Saturday, so I'm not sure if those will happen yet. I know the birthday party got canceled, so we're still waiting on the job for Saturday. So, and speaking of Darren's in our Brisbane studios, our engineer, Darren. Darren, how you doing?
Doing good. And yep, our weekend's being cancelled for us as well.
There you go. So I no longer have jobs this weekend.
That's unfortunate. I'm sorry to hear that.
So when I say jobs, I mean photography jobs, in case anyone was wondering what kind of jobs they were. But yeah, that's where we find ourselves currently, is a 3-day quick lockdown.
Well, hopefully that clears everything up, and you guys can go back to your normal. Fingers crossed on that front.
Which is sad, because I was going to do a couple Canada Day events today, which is July 1st. Happy Canada Day here in Australia. Yes. So I was going to go for Canada Day breakfast. There's some drinks. There were supposed to be some drinks tonight, which all got canceled. Now they're talking about doing it on July 4th, which is just sounds absurd, because I don't really want to do it on July 4th, but what are you supposed to do when there's a snap lockdown?
Do you guys have Molson Canadian? Is that what you'd be drinking?
No. I found Molson Canadian a couple times in some stores down here, and I'll buy it for nostalgic reasons.
Sure.
I can't remember what you can sometimes find Canadian beer here, but it is pretty rare. And, anytime there's a Canada Day thing, it's just, poutine gets advertised quite a bit. So,
of course.
Yes. We got to have those bloody cheese curds, I guess.
Yes.
Yeah, so let's see if the Canada Day celebrations will be on at some point in July, if the restrictions get lifted. Let's see how it goes. And so let's get into some music. Nick, you're going first this week. Tell us about our song.
Yeah, so this week I'm presenting the song "Make It Better" by Anderson Paak featuring Smokey Robinson. So if any listeners are unfamiliar with Anderson Paak, he comes from Oxnard, California, and I would say his music sounds exactly like the place he's from. Almost every song he puts out feels like it would just perfectly soundtrack a day by the beach, or, maybe outside by the pool, reading a book, or you've got a nice glass of wine with you. That's what Anderson Paak's music is to me. And without further ado, Darren, why don't you just hit play on Make It Better? Peter, what did you think of Make It Better?
I love this song. Like, what a groove. His voice is amazing.
Yeah, his voice to me is just pure class and excellence and funk. I love it so much.
Now, I know it's featuring Smokey Robinson, and it's very Smokey Robinson-esque, that song. I don't know if you know many songs by Smokey Robinson, but it is very much in the Smokey Robinson sort of vein of songs.
Yeah, so Anderson Paak, when he first started out making music, he was doing soul music under a different name. And then in 2015, Dr. Dre actually discovered him and picked him up and put him on 6 songs on his album called Compton. So he kind of developed as a musician, as an artist underneath Dr. Dre, and ever since then he's just been branching out and exploring so many different sounds and genres, and he really can do it all.
Well, apparently Dr. Dre can do it all too, because I think he produced Oxnard, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep. He definitely his fingerprints are all over Anderson Paak's music. And I read a quote from Anderson, and he said that Dr. Dre told him he'd never felt this involved or this close with an artist since Eminem, which is, it's a pretty big statement.
Yeah, it's so strange as you get older and how removed you get from the music scene. I'd never heard of this artist before, and in the minimal research I did, because I like to let you to the exposition of the artist. I found out he's a Grammy Award winner. I had no idea. Like when I was growing up your age, I sort of knew all the Grammy Award winners, and he just sort of become ingrained in popular culture. But as you get older, you sort of just don't pay attention to that much anymore. So that was a pleasant surprise.
Yeah, and I will say about Anderson Paak, I don't think you should feel too badly for not knowing about him. He's kind of bubbled just under the mainstream, I'd say. He's very critically acclaimed, and a lot of people know who he is, but he's never really had that smash radio commercial success. That is until actually earlier this year, he formed a supergroup with Bruno Mars. Have you heard anything about that?
No, I haven't. No.
Yeah, so they formed a group called Silk Sonic, and they released one track called Leave the Door Open, and it is absolutely fantastic. It's just a perfect piece of music. I think you'd really like it. It's like a love letter to 70s music, Motown, and soul. It's so good. I mean, it went number 1 on the radio, on all the charts and everything, just because of that Bruno Mars star power. But It's actually a fantastic song. It's really, really good.
I could see them teaming up quite easily, Bruno Mars and Anderson Paak. I could see them complementing each other's vocal styles and music styles quite well.
Well, yeah, when they released the announcement that they were going to team up and make a song, and I believe an album's on the way, when they first announced that, I thought, wow, that is absolutely perfect. Like, I never would have been asking for an Anderson Paak and Bruno Mars collaboration, but it just makes perfect sense on paper, and the song's great. But
yeah. The song itself is quite interesting. It has a really lovely groove, but when you listen to the lyrics are actually quite sad. It's about a couple at the precipice of a breakup, really. And I didn't catch that the first time I heard it. I sort of just listened to the music and didn't really pay attention to the lyrics. But as I listened to it a few times, I started to listen to the lyrics, and it's quite a sad song, really.
Yeah, for sure, and it's kind of Anderson Paak, because he got his start, you could say, as a rapper, and learning from Dr. Dre and that whole circle. He has really good lyrical content in his songs, which the album this song is from, Ventura. He really leans into R&B and funk, and so the music definitely trends in that direction. But he still keeps that lyrical essence that you'd expect from a rapper of his caliber. So I think it's a really good combination for sure.
Where does the Smokey Robinson sort of come in? Because it says featuring Smokey Robinson. Is it a Smokey Robinson song that he's singing over? Like, I didn't hear any Smokey Robinson. At least I didn't think I did.
I believe Smokey Robinson's just kind of doing like background vocals, harmonies, and things like that.
Okay.
I think in the chorus, if you really listen closely, you can pick him out doing a harmony.
Okay. That makes sense. Yeah, because I was thinking, because he sounds a lot like Smokey Robinson. So sure. I was having trouble seeing where Smokey Robinson was. Yeah.
Yeah, and I really love that he chose to do a song with Smokey Robinson. Like that, it just gives the song such a vintage feel to me, and it really just grounds. It's produced with all the techniques of a modern day song, and it's engineered really well, but it still has it's grounded in the 70s. Right. That's at least that's how it sounds to me.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think it's really cool.
Yeah. No, you're right. It has a really vintage 70s vibe to it.
Yeah, and you can see why after we listened to Stevie Wonder last week, I knew what I had to do. I knew what my assignment was. It's definitely inspired by that genre, that era of music.
Yeah, like late 60s, like the late 60s Motown to like the 70s Motown. It's perfect. Yeah, it's such a good song.
Absolutely. It's got that groove, it's got that funk, that R&B feel. It's really fantastic. And another thing I really love about Anderson Paak is just how talented he is in so many different areas. You know, he can sing very well, as this song shows. In some of his more rap heavy tracks, he's a fantastic rapper. And he is an excellent drummer. He, at all of his live shows, he's on the drum kit the entire time, you know, and while singing and performing and stuff. It's really cool. He's just an extremely talented artist, and it's really refreshing to hear that, and it's really refreshing to see someone like that achieve commercial success in today's music scene.
Absolutely. I'm going to dip into his catalog a little bit more and just listen to a few other songs. I'd love to hear, him rapping and what his rhymes sound like. So yeah, I'm really
Yeah,
glad you
absolutely.
brought the song to me.
Yeah, he has a lovely song featuring Kendrick Lamar called "Tints." That's a fantastic one. I'll send you a few that you can choose from. But
Oh, lovely. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Yeah. What a song. It's so smooth.
yeah, and you should definitely check out his song with Bruno Mars. It's really good, and the music video is really cool. It looks like it's filmed on old film, and it's got that grainy vibe, and they've got, you know, the old 70s outfits and the brown carpet in the studio. It's pretty cool.
Do you know that Bruno Mars started off as an Elvis impersonator?
No, I had no idea.
Yeah, when he was a kid. Why I know this, I have no clue, because I just know stupid things. Apparently, when he
Yeah.
was a kid, I think he grew up in Hawaii, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
And as a kid, he was an Elvis impersonator, like the 70s jumpsuits, white jumpsuits, high collars, fat Elvis period, and that was he had like a wig on and fake sideburns, and that was Bruno Mars. Yeah.
I can see it, and I can definitely see how getting your start in showbiz that way. Like, you know, Bruno Mars is another fantastic performer. He's a really good artist, so you can see how impersonating Elvis would lend itself to that.
Oh, and I promised Darren that there'd be no mention of Michael Jackson in this episode. So Darren, I'll keep to my promise and not mention Michael Jackson. So
Right.
no Michael Jackson, Darren.
Thank you.
Recurring favorite of Just Hit Play, Michael Jackson.
Yes, no Michael Jackson, Darren. I
No.
promise. Although I did say Michael Jackson's name 5 times, but that's enough.
Yes, no more. So I guess, do you have anything else to add on this song?
Yeah, I was just curious. How did you come across this song and the artist?
Well, Anderson Paak, I've been following him for quite some time, ever since he released the Malibu album in 2016. I can't remember how I found out about him. It may have been from like a music blog or Twitter, some kind of social media, where I just, I heard, oh, Anderson Paak, this new artist, he's really good. And yeah, his album Malibu is fantastic. I think it's his best piece of work. It's got some producers I really love. He's featured some rappers I really like. Ever since I heard that, I've been a fan, and I've just been dedicated to following him ever since then.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, I'm going to definitely listen to a couple more tracks because I'm hooked. That's great.
Well, this might be a rhetorical question now then, but will this be in your rotation of music going forward?
It is heavily featured in my rotation going forward. So to the point, yeah, I'll have to find some more tracks to freshen it up a little bit, just to add more of his music in.
Fantastic. Well, I'm really glad you enjoyed. I'm glad I could break this new artist to you. And I'm patting myself on the back for this one.
Absolutely.
Because as soon as I thought to show you, I thought, yeah, he's gonna love Anderson Paak. Good stuff. I'm glad.
Darren, what did you think? Did you like the song?
Yeah, it was okay, but won't make it into my rotation.
All right. Thank you, Darren.
Fair enough. Thanks, Darren.
All right. So we are going on to my song next. I have chosen for you to listen to a band called the Beta Band that were around in the mid 90s. They formed in 1996. They are a small band. They are one that I've just always loved, but have never achieved any, Billboard status. They've never sold out, big stadiums or arenas. They've always stayed quite a small band, but have had a loyal following. And the song I got you to listen to is a song called Dry the Rain. Darren, why don't you just hit play and give us a few seconds of Dry the Rain? right, so that's Dry the Rain by the Beta Band. I love that song specifically because the groove at the 2 minute mark specifically is when the groove sort of kicks in. That groove is just tremendous, and it just lasts until the 6 minute mark, and then the horns come in and the band just hit a crescendo. I think it's one of the greatest groove songs that I've ever listened to. And I want to hear what your thoughts were, Nick.
Well, I really, really, really like this song. I think it kind of splits up into really distinctive thirds. And so what I mean by that is the song starts off and it's got these kind of washed out vocals. So my first impression was, okay, like it's kind of a downbeat song. They're letting the instrumental shine, and that's kind of what I focused on at first. You know, you've got the maracas and this sparse but really well done guitar, groovy bass line for sure, like you mentioned. And then around the 2 minute mark, it just feels like almost like a storm breaking, and the sun starts shining through. The drum line comes in, the guitar goes crazy, and that's when the track really comes into its own for me. And once I heard that, I was hooked. I've been listening to this song all week. I think it's really, really good.
So I first heard this song on a movie called High Fidelity that stars John Cusack. Have you ever heard of High Fidelity, Nick?
I have not, except for in the YouTube comments for this song. So many people were talking about, oh, High Fidelity sent me here, or referencing the scene.
So in the scene, so John Cusack plays a character called Rob Gordon, and he runs a record store, like a vinyl record store. I think there's even I know there's a TV show that was made last year, starring Zoe Kravitz, where she plays the Rob Gordon part, and which is a really good TV show. If you haven't seen it, it's a really good show to watch as well. And there's a sign saying no CDs specifically in the store, and I think that might be similar in the John Cusack version. So he bets his fellow co-workers that he can sell five records of the Beta Band, and he puts on the song, and you can see the people in the store just slowly grooving to the song, and slowly, they go and they sell at least 5 records from them listening to that song in the store. So that's where I first heard the song, was from High Fidelity, and from that movie, the band's albums quadrupled. Still not a very big band, but quadrupled from where they were, and they became a top 200 Billboard artist where they weren't even charting, and they became a top 200 Billboard artist for that song.
Do you think they cut John Cusack a percentage of their earnings after that?
I would say there wasn't a lot of earnings to cut. While they were a top 200 band, I think there's 5 or 6 band members and management and lawyers. So I don't think there was a lot to give to Mr. Cusack, and I think he's doing all right.
Yeah, you're right. I'm sure he's not hurting.
I saw the Beta Band in 2001 at Molson Park in Barrie, where they opened up for Radiohead. Radiohead were doing the Kid A tour.
Yeah.
And I was really excited to see the Beta Band because I love that song so much, and they were so good live. I mean, Radiohead is you've never seen Radiohead live, have you?
No, I have actually. I saw them on their tour for A Moon-Shaped Pool. Yes, I know just how fantastic they are.
They are so good live, yeah.
I went with my good friend Xander, and we had a fantastic night watching Radiohead. They're fantastic.
I've had the pleasure of seeing Radiohead 3 times. I saw them for the Bends, OK Computer, and then the Kid A tour. So
wow.
So that was pretty good 3 good albums.
Absolutely.
To see Radiohead. And the Beta Band were amazing. I remember he was pretty funny. He would introduce, I think he introduced fake song titles as he was going on. And so the singer, and I don't even know the singers, this band is so small, I don't even know any of the band members' names. He said at one point, this song's called How Could I Say I Love You When You Won't Get Off My Face? So I to this day, that I remember that happened in 2001. To this day, that I still remember that song title.
That's hilarious. Yeah, I love that.
So what a band. Really good live band. They didn't last much longer. From 2001, they broke up in 2004. There seems to be a lot of infighting. Their first album they released, the band themselves hated it so much they told people not to buy it.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, they said it was a really bad album. And they have another song that's really good called Squares, which is off their album called Hot Shots 2. There was never a Hot Shots 1, but the album's called Hot Shots 2, and that's probably their best album. This one, Dry the Rain, was off their first EP, but Hot Shots 2 is probably their best album.
It's funny we got to talking about how you saw them live, because while I was listening to the song, I kept having the thought that it would be really, really good to see live. And then I went on YouTube and I found a video of them performing it, and yeah, it was really good. They really know how to play. I have a band like that too, where did you know of Beta Band before you went to see them with YouTube or Radiohead?
Yeah, because the John Cusack album came out
Okay.
before that. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So I was going to say, like, I've had a few times where I go to a show for the main act, but then I walk away and I'm almost more impressed or surprised by the opening act.
Yeah.
Which is I love when that happens, to be honest. I love finding a new band, and I think the best way to do it is to see them perform their best songs.
Yeah, a few years ago, so this would have been in the 2000s when I was still living in Canada. I went to go see the band called Keen, which I didn't really like. I went for the girl that I was seeing at the time, but the opening band was a band called the Zootons, and the Zootons were amazing. And I stayed a big fan of the Zootons. I don't really care too much about Keen, but Zootons were really, really good. So yeah, I know exactly what you mean.
Yeah, when I saw Arcade Fire in 2017 or 2018, they had a band open up for them called the Broken Social Scene. They're a Canadian indie band, and they were phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal. They played this last for their very last song of the night. They played a song called "Meet Me in the Basement," and it's purely instrumental. There's no vocals of any kind on this song, and the studio version's like 4 minutes, I want to say, and on the live performance, they played for at least 10 minutes, just going absolutely crazy. And I walked away from that performance loving them so much that when you came back to Canada the next year, that we went to go see them live.
Yeah, it was Portugal the band and Broken Social Scene, and that hip hop artist you said that's blowing up right now.
Yeah, Jack Harlow.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah. So when I saw that show was happening, I like I wouldn't say I'm a massive fan of Portugal the Man. I like some of their songs, but I bought those tickets more just because I wanted to see Broken Social Scene again. They were so good.
I remember funny because I bought so every time I take Nick or me and Nick go to a concert since how old were you when we went to Arcade Fire?
13.
13.
Yeah,
So
13.
every time me and Nick go to a concert, I have this tradition where I buy him a concert shirt. And I bought one for myself for Portugal the Man because as a Portuguese man, I thought it was funny wearing a shirt called Portugal the Man. So while I love Portugal the Man, I bought it sort of for the irony of it.
I mean, yeah, when an opportunity like that presents itself, you have to take it.
Yeah, I don't know if you know this. It's funny that I took you to your first concert at the age of 13 because your dad took me to my first concert when I was 13.
Oh, no way. What was that one?
We saw U2 at a place called Exhibition Stadium that no longer exists anymore. There was about 60,000 people there. It was my first concert, and it was 3 degrees. Why U2 chose to play an outdoor show in October in Canada is beyond me, but it was bloody cold.
I can imagine. Wow. But what a killer first concert.
Yeah, and the opening band was Los Lobos. It was like they're an LA Mexican band that opened up for U2. It was weird.
Wow. Leave it to U2. Didn't they have Jay-Z open for them on one of their tours?
I saw Jay-Z. I've seen Public Enemy open up for U2. I saw Public Enemy open up for U2.
Wow.
So they do like to get different types of artists to open up for them.
I like that. I have a follow-up question for you just based on this conversation.
Go for it.
Do you have any songs where the studio version absolutely pales in comparison to the live performance of that song?
Like a song in general?
Yeah, just any song, or I mean, we can even do a band if you can't think of a song.
Yeah, I'm going to go with U2 again. There's a U2 song called "Where the Streets Have No Name."
Oh yeah,
and there is a live version of that where they played in Dublin a few years ago, where Bono's father had died like a couple days before the concert, and the emotional performance of the show was unbelievable. And that's probably my favorite live version of Where the Streets Have No Name. It's a much better live song and it's a really good studio song. I'm assuming you know that song.
Oh, of course.
Yeah, it's a great studio song, but live it just transcends. Yeah, if you ever want to see Where the Streets Have No Name, just do a YouTube search for Where the Streets Have No Name Dublin, and it'll be probably the first song that shows up in YouTube.
I think my dad's going to be insulted when he hears you ask me if I know the song Where the Streets Have No Name by U2.
Yeah, I forget that your dad is a big massive U2 fan like I am. So
yeah, no,
yeah, so
I'm very familiar.
I'm assuming you grew up with U2 then, yeah.
Oh yeah, most definitely.
Speaking of U2, I noticed in the last podcast that we had 2 listeners from Dublin that listened to the podcast, and I'm just assuming that they're 2 members of U2 that have listened to our podcast. So,
of course,
yeah. If you are members of U2 that have listened to our podcast from Dublin, or you're just a fan of our podcast from Dublin, send us an email. What's our email address again, Nick?
Our email address is justhitplay.podcast7300@gmail.com.
Yeah. So Bono and the Edge, as you've listened to our last episode, please send us an email telling us that you liked our podcast.
Yeah, we'd love to hear from you guys.
Yeah. Darren, what did you think of Dry the Rain?
Yeah, I liked it. A bit long.
Yes, it is a 6-minute song.
It is a bit long.
So that's the end of the podcast. Thank you very much for listening. We've given you our email address. If you want to go on Instagram, what's our Instagram page, Nick?
Our Instagram page is @justhitplaypodcast, and you can find us there. Send us a DM if you'd like. Follow us. We appreciate it.
And and I take, as I'm an older guy, I'm the Facebook guy. So
Yes.
Just search for Just Hit Play on Facebook, and you can go on to the Facebook movement. I put on the live recordings there and some other information. So check us out on Facebook too.
Yeah, I have no idea how to work Facebook. That's beyond me. It's moved past my generation.
Yeah, that's why I'm here, Nick. I'm here to help out the older people with Facebook.
Fantastic.
All right, so our closing track tonight is by a band called With Blue. They are a local Brisbane band. They are melodic and guitar-driven pop. They started off as a high school band in 2018, and we're going to listen to a song called Daisy. They've had a bit of a lull recently, but they have a new EP coming out soon, and they've been hitting the tour. They've been hitting a lot of stages around Brisbane. So this is Daisy by With Blue. Darren, just hit play, and we'll see you next episode.
She's got something, you know, she might be free. She wanders into the night, 'cause she was always more than meets the eye. She could never be tamed. No two nights were the same, that was her game. You know, I thought she could be mine, still thinking about her time to time. She followed the curve, never the line, was never one to be confined. She could never be blamed. No two nights were the same, that was her Daisy. You wonderful, my baby. You wonderful. She has golden hair and emerald eyes, with every day a new surprise.